It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, leave us a rating and a review. It helps us a lot, helps us move up in the rankings and reach more people. Also, if you're interested in joining the Bread Real Estate Investing community, you can go to blackrealestatedialogue.com or the link in the show notes, and you can join for just $1 for your first week. Very excited for this episode today. Here with me, I have Eugene Marshall out of Chicago. Eugene, thank you so much for joining the show today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you for having me. Definitely dope podcast, dope individual. Definitely wanted to have the opportunity to share the stage with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you could start off with just introducing yourself and letting the people know who you are.
Absolutely. So government name, birth name, Eugene Marshall. Some folks just call me Gene, and then a lot of folks just call me Mr. Marshall as well. I'm a professional real estate investor located predominantly on the south side of Chicago. That's where the majority of my units are held. I have about 31 units right now and counting. My goal is to own the world if God bless me with the ability to be able to do so. I also have a rental car business as well. Got about 4 vehicles, getting ready to add a 5th car towards the end of the month. Been waiting on this Tesla to come in the mail, man. They running crazy behind on that. Let's see, author of my first book titled The Power of an Idea, which is a beginner's guide to turning any idea into massive profits, essentially giving out my blueprint to scaling, how I scale one of my businesses to 6 figures, and just giving out basic systems and basic business models that anybody can apply to any business. So author, also started a podcast with Brian Robinson. A lot of folks know him as the infamous CPA, called the Double Up Podcast. We started that podcast a few years ago. I also do a lot of small business coaching as well. Not as much as I used to, but definitely have taught a lot of people how to get their business, how to get their ideas up and running. And that's what really sparked the idea of writing my first book. I also partner with a tax firm. We have the fastest growing tax firm in the Midwest by volume at Badu Tax Services, where we do tax planning, tax preparation, and then tax preparation as well for individuals and businesses. Let's see what else I'm involved with. I also have a course called the Renovation Game that teaches individuals how to buy distressed properties, rehab them, become a general contractor, get paid to essentially run your own construction company, and then roll those funds over into another vehicle, which is real estate, that I prefer to also increase your portfolio of assets. So that's me in a nutshell. That's Eugene.
Love it. Love it. You got a lot going on. We'll definitely have the link to the course in the show notes for the folks who are interested. So you got a lot going on. How did you get into real estate? What was it about real estate that made you feel, I think this is something good to do in a vehicle I want to use to build my wealth?
Yeah, I think my story is fairly similar to a lot of people. I was in college, and a long story short, I got access to this group chat. And in this group chat, folks was talking about buying crypto. They was talking about buying real estate or whatever. And thankfully, I had an internship when I was in college. So I was making like $1,200, $1,300 every 2 weeks. That's almost a full-time job while I was a college student, right? And so I had a lot of discretionary income. So of course, just like everybody else that's financially illiterate, when they have discretionary income, what do? They blow it, right? They go buy clothes. I was going to the club section, just kicking it, bottles at the kickbacks every weekend. It's on me, let's do it, right? And so with me having a lot of discretionary income, I learned a lot, but I also started to invest. And they was talking about Bitcoin, and I ended up buying a couple Bitcoins at the time. This was like, I can't remember what year this was, but Bitcoin was probably like $4,000, $6,000. Like it was very, very cheap at the time. And so I ended up making like 15 grand in like 2 weeks. And I was like, hold on, wait a second. Like I made 15 grand in 2 weeks on mistake. I need to figure out like, how can I do this more frequently? And again, imagine I'm still working an internship. I'm in college. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just know I just bought some because everybody was talking about it. And so one of the books folks was recommending to read inside the group chat was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he was literally mirroring my life. his whole story was mirroring my life. And so one thing that really stuck out to me in the program or in the book, if you will, was you have to buy things that make you more money, right? You want to make sure that you're filling up your asset column and not your liability column. And it was the basic principle of, liabilities are things that take your money, and then assets are anything that make you money. So if it doesn't make you money directly, then it's not an asset. And so one of the things that he focused on was real estate. And it was like, all right, cool. So it was that. And then there was other statistics out there, like if majority of millionaires, own some form of real estate or have made their millions through real estate, whatever, right? So it's all these statistics, everything is pointing back to real estate. And it's a great way for me to build generational wealth, right? And so I was like, all right, cool. So if I want to be rich, if I want to be wealthy, I know I need to own this. At the time, I don't know much about it, but that means that I need to start hustling. I need to bridge the gap between what I know and what I don't know so I can get to where I want to go. And so I started to just read a shit ton of books on real estate. I started buying real estate programs. And I'm not talking about like cheap programs. I was spending like $5,000, 10 grand on programs just to learn and get around people that was doing the same thing. And so that's kind of where the interest really, really got started.
Definitely. So talk to us about your first deal. So you got all this information, this education, you were inspired, you got these courses, these programs. And then I'm sure you came to a point where it's like, okay, I'm in position, or I think I'm in position. Now it's time to make a move. So talk to us about that first investment.
There you go. Keyword, think, right? Think I'm in position. Let's make this first move. So for those that have been following me for a while, like everybody know, like my first deal was it was a disaster. It was literally, you don't come back from that deal. If you come back from that deal, you gotta be like hungry, you gotta want it bad. Yeah, so it was one of those situations where you don't come back from this, right? It was literally everything that could go wrong on this deal went wrong on this deal. From the electricity, from the plumbing, from the drywall, from the tile. Like it was a complete gut rehab that just went left. So to kind of walk you through the deal, in short, I lost about $50,000 to $60,000 on this deal. And for the average investor, somebody that's new, that's all it takes for them to lose 10,000 and they're done, right? All it takes is for one real estate deal to go wrong, and then that'll cut your real estate career early before it even got started for real. That's why it's very, very important for us to do our homework up front and make sure that we're truly analyzing these deals and we're collaborating with people that have the experience and the level of integrity that you want to exemplify, right? If you were them. And the reality of it is that a lot of folks don't, because everybody is after something that has a Benjamin Franklin on it, right? And not a lot of people actually, what happens is folks love money and then use people, right? They have it reversed. When you should love people and use money, right? When you love people and use money, you never ever have to worry about money, because money comes from one place and one place only, and that's other people's bank accounts, right? So just by that law in itself, you want to do right by people. So I ended up doing a gut rehab project. I bought the property leveraging a FHA 203K renovation loan. And I had got a referral on a general contractor from somebody in my network that was a developer, right? Me getting a referral from somebody I knew that was very close to me. This person is a developer. They've been in the business for the last 25 years. They got to be sending me a trusted source, right? This is what I was thinking in my head. They have to be sending me a trusted source. So I ended up working with the general contractor, and I saw all these red flags, but I wasn't really saying anything because I'm a new investor to the game. I don't know what I don't know, right? It was terrible communication. It was some days where no work was getting done, right? I come up to the project and it'd be one person working. I'm doing a full gut rehab. Why I only got one person here working, right? And it was these small, subtle things that I started to realize, like, all right, cool, like I'm losing money. So I ended up losing $60,000 on that deal. When I first bought the project had tenants in it, right? The property had tenants in there. So in the state of Illinois is a pro-tenant state, right? So you can't just evict people, right? Squatters or anything in Illinois, in the state of Illinois, squatters have rights, right? They have the actual rights, squatter rights. So you have to go through the whole eviction process. So it took me 6 months just to evict them. And then come behind that, I had a terrible general contractor. So that's how I got started, was really just jumping out there, very, very arrogant. Yeah, I was studying. Yeah, I was reading books. However, I never read or studied anything that was on the construction side of the house. And I always tell folks all the time, the actual renovation game, the renovation space is a total different ball game when it comes to real estate. It's not just, you buying an asset that's turnkey, move-in ready, you just find some tenants, or it's tenants already in there and you cash flowing. The renovation game is a whole lot of managing people, right? And hiring high quality subs that care about their work. So my introduction to real estate was like, it was crazy.
Definitely. Wow. Couple questions. Definitely want to dig into that first part of the story a bit. So for those who are not aware, or maybe they never heard of the FHA 203K loan, can you explain just briefly what it is?
Yeah, so an FHA loan is essentially a program that the government backs that allows first-time home buyers to purchase, right? And then they also have a division within that called 203K, which is essentially a renovation loan that allows first-time home buyers to purchase a house and renovate the house as well, right? This loan product also has a HUD consultant that's supposed to operate on the best interest of the client or the buyer, the home buyer, because when you're doing a renovation project, they don't know what they don't know, right? So this HUD consultant is supposed to be somebody that is essentially managing or monitoring the relationship between a homeowner and a general contractor. And unfortunately, some HUD consultants don't know what they're doing too. However, there are some really good ones out there as well. But essentially what an FHA 203K loan allows you to do, it essentially allows a first-time home buyer to purchase a house and renovate it at the same time.
Got it. And you mentioned did you feel like your HUD consultant didn't know what they were doing?
He absolutely, he couldn't have. Because how did you miss the electricity, right? Mm-hmm. So even in the bathrooms, I had regular drywall in my bathrooms, right? You don't put regular drywall in bathrooms, right? You put green board in bathrooms, right? What bathrooms are very, very moisture, right? You got showers, you got jacuzzi, you got whatever. You can't put everybody in the construction space should know you cannot put regular drywall in a bathroom, right? So it was these small nuances that my consultant missed that I didn't know. And if I would have had other inspectors, a silent inspector or somebody that was in the construction space come by and check on the project, things would have been a bit different because we would have caught things early on, but unfortunately I didn't.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And so talk to us about when you were going through that and you just realized it wasn't going well. Is there anything that you, in hindsight, that you would have done differently when it comes to that contractor relationship and just managing that project, just with all the experience you got in the years after?
100%. So what I tell folks all the time, and what happened to me was the reason why the project was moving so slow was that general contractor, like most general contractors do, is they rob Peter to pay Paul, meaning they take money from one project and then they put it in the next project. And the other person that they took money from is waiting on that general contractor to come back and do work, but that general contractor can't come back until he get his draw from the bank, right? At that person, he or she is still waiting on the money from the bank to go back to the other project. And so what happens is that individual, that client, gets delayed on time, right? And everybody know in the renovation space, time is money, right? The bank don't care if the general contractor is performing or not. The bank want their money when the bill is due, right? So one thing I should have done, and I now teach this in my course, is that you want to make sure that your general contractor, especially if you're doing the 203K, you want to make sure that they're liquid, right? And the reason why you want to make sure that they're liquid is because that general contractor has to front the money for your project, right? And if that general contractor is not liquid enough to be able to essentially manage the project from one draw to the next draw, then what's going to happen is that general contractor is going to run out of cash. They're going to burn out. They're going to be asking a homeowner for additional capital to be able to push the project along. And now your funds is tied into the project when you don't supposed to have no funds into the project at all, because that's a general contractor responsibility. So one, making sure the general contractor is liquid. And then two, never go off pictures, right? Not that I did, but you always want to make sure that you can go and drive by a site. Most general contractors, if they're good general contractors, they always have work. They always have work. So you want to be able to go by their site and see how their site is. When I say see how their site is, I'm asking, you should be thinking, what is the atmosphere here, right? Is it folks just arguing? Is it workers just sitting around lollygagging, eating food, not doing no work? Or are they proactive? Okay, yeah, they're proactive, but what does it look from an organization perspective? Is it unorganized? Is it sloppy? Is it dirty? So when you go over there, you should be looking at the atmosphere of the project, because whatever atmosphere is there is going to be the same atmosphere at your project, right? So it's these small things that we got to begin looking at, especially when we hire and screening general contractors.
Definitely. Thanks for breaking that down. So at the end of that particular project, what happened? How did you proceed?
Yeah, so all right, you lost 60,000. Like, what happened? Did you just lose 60,000? That was it. No, so what I ended up doing was, and I wish I would have done this earlier, but I don't know why I did not. I think I was just being prideful, or I was probably too close to the deal where I just wasn't thinking. But I ended up bringing in one of my mentors. And one of my mentors, he's been in the real estate space for forever. Primary reason why I went to the college I went to, joined the fraternity I went to. And he came, I invited him to come by the project. And that's when I found out that I was getting screwed. And he came by a couple of times, and I wanted to get a project up. You know, I wanted to file bankruptcy. I wanted to be done. I wanted to do whatever it takes to be done. I tried listing the property. I tried every single thing. And I remember like it was yesterday, I called a company to try to file bankruptcy. And it was like, why are you going to file bankruptcy when you don't owe nobody no money? The bank is not even trying to come after you for any money, and then you're due, right? Meaning you're on point, you're ahead, you're not late, you're not behind on payments, you're not defaulting, you're not going through a foreclosure, anything. Mm-hmm. And so my mentor came by, which is a general contractor, done multiple flips, whatever, very seasoned. He told me, never forget it. He said, I'll help you get through this deal. This deal is not over, right? But before I can help you, you got to help yourself. And I thought about that, asked him, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, you gotta believe in your head that you can finish this project. Because if you've already gave up on this project, there's nothing I can do to help you, right? And he said, well, what I'll do is I'll take the project over for you. What a mentor, right? I'll take the project over for you. I'll be the new general contractor and we'll go through it. Then I said, no, I don't want to do that. And I didn't want to do that because I know people who don't pay attention. That's just the reality of it. Folks who don't pay attention. So what I said was, well, okay, how about let me hire you as a coach? Let me hire you as a coach. And I knew if I hired him as a coach, now he has an obligation to actually come help me and coach me through the rest of this process, because now he's getting paid. Mm-hmm. So I ended up paying him $1,000 a month, right, over the next 4 to 5 months to coach me through the project. So what that did was that gave me full access to his subs, right? Imagine this is somebody that's seasoned in the game. So he has high quality subs, resources. He has high quality subs that care about the quality of their work. These are not people that you got to micromanage. These are people that's going to show up, do what they got to do so they can get to the next project. So I had full access to his subs, right? I now then became a general contractor. So now I'm in control of the money. The person that's in control of the money is in control of the project. So when you hire a general contractor, I always tell folks that person is now in control of the money, depending on how the relationship is set up with the lender. So whoever controls the money controls the project. So if you want to make sure that you can have full and 100% control over the project, you have to control the money, right? And so I ended up doing that, and we ended up finishing the project. If I would have hired another general contractor, it would have cost me an additional $20,000 to $30,000 just to hire an additional contractor, but instead I became the general contractor and I end up making money on the deal. Then I leveraged that income that I made on a deal to scale. That's how we finished out.
Incredible, man. And you know, I feel that this first deal was a turning point for you. And the reason I say that is because it could have went in two different directions. You could have seen that initial adversity as just a reason to quit. And I wouldn't blame you. Okay. If you decided maybe I'll do some other business, I wouldn't blame you. However, um, you spoke to somebody who you end up hiring as a coach, and you end up becoming the GC for the project to see it through. And I'm sure this experience, as you mentioned, you use some of this capital to scale. Um, you know, just imagine where life would have went if you decided, you know what, this is not for me.
Yeah, I know. And it's very interesting because we're all at some point, whether it's real estate, whether you run an e-commerce business, whether you're running a fitness business, whatever business, right? Entrepreneurship within itself is tough, and adversity will come, right? If even if you don't have a business, adversity will come, right? It's not about if, it's about when. And proper preparation prevents poor performance. And if you know that everything has a season, then you should always be prepping for that season because you don't know when it's going to come, right? And so I'm glad that I went through that experience because now I can go into any project and right away I can tell exactly how much this project is going to cost, right? Because I've done it over and over and over again. Yeah, I had to learn the hard way, but that hard way gave me a very, very valuable asset and skill, right, that I can add to my portfolio and I can keep using over and over again. So yeah, like a lot of folks, they lose $20,000, $10,000 on a deal and they quit. Right now I got 31 units that's cash flowing over $10,000 a month, right? And that's money that I'm making in my sleep. I don't have to actively work for that money, right? And I got my own construction project, so construction company. So I'm keeping all my renovation costs in-house, right? Which is also bringing down my costs.
Are you looking for a community of like-minded individuals and access to experts in real estate?
Yeah.
Are you interested in real estate but need more support and guidance?
You know who it is?
The Black Real Estate Dialogue presents the Real Estate Investing Community. No matter how much or how little real estate experience you have, we've created a community for you because your perspective is important. All right, tell me, where's the number one place where you can do Q&A with experienced guest speakers 2 times per month? How about unlimited access to past guest speakers' recordings? What about a private Slack channel to engage in daily discussion with everybody in the community to share resources and support each other? Head on over to blackrealestatedialogue.com. That's blackrealestatedialogue.com. It's the real estate investing community presented by the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Come join us today.
Absolutely. And I'm very excited that you'll be talking more about the construction and rehab aspect with the Bread Real Estate Investing community and diving a little deeper into that. Because to your point, and based on what we've heard so far, it's extremely important for people to understand that side of it if they want to get into real estate, or else, you might get in multiple bad deals if you don't understand that side. So for those who are interested in joining the community, link is in the show notes or blackrealestatedialogue.com. Great. So you said you used some of that capital to scale. So after those lessons, you kind of sharpened yourself. How did things grow from there?
Yeah, so I was inside of a private real estate community. For those in Chicago, I'm very well known in Chicago, especially in the real estate space. I led a private real estate community. I won't say their name. And we taught classes every Wednesday, right? And so I'm in front of folks every Wednesday, students, and these students are twice my age, right? These are moms, these are dads, these are grandmothers, these are grandfathers that have just been fed up with the way that life has kind of panned out for them financially, and they're just ready to make the necessary steps to get to the next level, right? So I taught a real estate class every Wednesday. It was an intro to real estate, where we talked about, how to purchase properties creatively using land contracts, losing lease with the option to purchase, all these different types of creative acquisition strategies, and also ways to, acquire funding using home equity lines of credit, life insurance, 401ks, all these different things. And so what happened was my original idea getting into the real estate space was I was just going to do fix and flips. It was never the rentals. The rentals was going to come at some point, but not right away. But it's interesting because life kind of just switched for me and it ended up being the rentals. But my original thought process was, okay, cool. If I'm going to be in the fix and flip space, then one of the number one expenses in the fix and flip space is time, right? It's time. So I need to figure out how can I reduce my time? Well, the best way and the quickest way to reduce my time on the back end after the project has been rehabbed and finished is to have a qualified buyer already lined up. So that means light bulb went on, Gene, you need to create a pipeline of qualified buyers. Well, how do I create a pipeline of qualified buyers? Well, what do lenders need in order for somebody to be a qualified buyer? They need income and they need good credit. So a lot of my students that was coming into these weekly meetings, they had income, but unfortunately they didn't have the good credit. So that led me to start a credit repair business. So I had a credit repair business, which allowed for me to be able to repair people's credit. So once you repair somebody's credit, you build massive rapport, because now you've put that person in position to buy a house. Now you put that person in position to get lines of credit. Now you put this person in position to get that car that they always been wanting to get, but they couldn't get because of mistakes and stuff they did in their early 30s, early 20s, right? That person loves you, right? So I created a pipeline of buyers by repairing their credit. And so it's like, all right, cool. Well, now I got people to sell to. But I end up doing a pivot. And so now I'm not doing the rehab space anymore, the fix and flip space anymore, because I got burnt on this deal, right? And so now it's like, all right, well, what do I want to do now? Do I want to do fix and flips, or do I want to just do rehabs and capture some rentals? Well, what's the goal in the next year or two? Well, the goal in the next year or two is to free myself from my W-2 job so that I can be a full-time entrepreneur and go more into the teaching space. Okay, well, if I know that, then my goal right now is cash flow. So what I ended up doing was I ended up partnering with my students, right? And these were students that I've built massive rapport with. I've already rebuilt their credit, right? They just don't know how to get started, but they hungry, right? They want to get to the next level. They just need somebody to be able to connect the dots for them and show them the way, right? And then on simultaneously, I was also running a wholesale business as well that allowed me to generate a ton of capital. But now in the state of Illinois, you can't do more than 2 wholesale deals within a 12-month interval, or that's considered illegal, and you could be facing penalties and up to jail time. So I kind of laid low on the wholesale business. So I stopped the wholesaling. But anyways, so I ended up partnering with these students, and then we ended up buying units. They didn't have the capital. I had the capital. They had the credit. So we just kept doing 3.5% over and over and over again, which allowed me to scale. Now, the way I set it up was, since I was the one bringing the capital to the table, right? I didn't allow, right? When you control the deal, you control the narrative of the deal, right? I didn't allow any of my students or any of my partners that I was partnering with to receive any of the net cash flow from these assets that we were acquiring until I got my original down payment money back. Right. So if I put $10,000 on a deal, right, before we start splitting profits on anything, I had to get my $10,000 back. Right. And then we kind of split things up from there. So that's how I scale, and that's how I got up.
Got it. So is it basically the way it's set up? You put in whatever it is you put in, you're paid back, and then it's split 50-50 or however each deal is arranged, and profits are kind of just split that way.
Yep.
Got it. That's amazing. And I think something that's interesting is a lot of people don't like partnering with others. But you mentioned that it allows you to scale. So could you talk more about the benefits of partnering with people to grow your portfolio?
Yeah, I mean, here's what I always tell folks, right? And this is saying, if you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone, I'm a big, strong advocate of partnering with people. However, you want to make sure that you partner with the right people. So I'm not telling you to go out there and just partner with anybody that got the perfect credit score. No, you want to make sure that you vet this person out very, very thoroughly, and you know their personality. You know that you can trust them in situations where you can't necessarily be available, and you can do that through testing, right? You can test people and see if that's somebody that you can rely on, right? And you also make sure that you're protected in the contract, right? How my contracts are set up, if you do X, Y, and Z, you owe me money. If you do X, Y, and Z, you owe me money, right? So everything is strategically designed and set up in a way to where I can't lose. As long as we're both operating from a place of integrity with the highest level of integrity, then we should have no problems. So in terms of partnerships, it's the quickest and easiest way to scale. And I tell people all the time, to win in real estate, you either need the money, you need the knowledge, or you need the relationships, the contacts. Real estate is not a contract sport. A lot of folks get that confused. It's not a contract sport at all. It's a contact sport. Contacts meaning relationships, right? You don't need all three. You just need one of the three. If you can get one of the three, you should have no problems. And the reality of entrepreneurs is, especially in real estate, we're just in the business of solving problems. That's it. If you can solve problems, then you will never run out of deals, right? Because there's constantly, even right now with the pandemic, like there's so many landlords on a forbearance right now because they got tenants that's just not paying, right? And so what's going to happen? The government is either going to bail everybody out, which they're not, or these landlords are going to go under. So you're either somebody right now that's stacking dough, you're preparing, you're practicing for that game because that big game is coming. It's only just a matter of time. So partnerships is everything.
Definitely. And when did you start? What year did you start investing?
I bought my first property December 27 of 2018.
Got it. So about 2.5 years, and you're up to, you said what, 31 units?
I got 31. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty fast growth. And in Chicago too, which is a major city. We've had multiple guests from Chicago, but can you talk more about the Chicago real estate market over the years, and I guess currently from your perspective?
Yeah, Chicago is hot, man. Depending on what market you in, so you could buy. I like Woodline personally. Woodline is on the south side of Chicago, is bridging the face of Hyde Park, and it's catching a lot of the gentrification from Hyde Park. However, with investors buying up Woodline crazy, obviously, the market value has increased tremendously. So it's starting to become very, very hard for the average person to buy because they're not competing with traditional homeowners. They're competing with investors, and these investors are coming with $200,000, $250,000 cash, right? So a homeowner is going to take the person that's buying in cash, rather sooner than the person that's buying a loan, because that loan is not guaranteed. That person might go out there and do something crazy and go buy a car, increase their debt to income ratio, and now the lender is like, yo, we can't give you the loan no more, right? Or for whatever reason. But somebody that's buying in cash, they can close quicker, right? And then they got the cash. So Woodline is a market that is on fire. You can still catch some deals, and it's a fast appreciating market. So I own 2 properties in Woodline. South Shore is another good area as well. The Barack Obama Library is getting ready to get built in South Shore, which is South Shore, Woodline. They're all like gracing each other. So you got Hyde Park, you got South Shore, then you got Woodline. It's all interconnected. So in terms of the Chicago market as a whole, very, very hot. You also got markets such as Inglewood that's building up, which is a great place for anybody to start. It's the hood, right? But there are diamonds in the rough, and it is fastly changing. There's a lot of new economic development happening over there in that area. So the Chicago market right now is on fire.
Definitely. It's interesting, man. When I was in Chicago, we spoke about it a little bit a couple years ago. My sister and I, we drove through the South Side, and I'm a basketball fan. I think Derrick Rose is from Inglewood. And so we're like, all right, we just doing the GPS, and I'm driving. I don't remember what street it was on, but I remember seeing like a Whole Foods. I'm pretty sure you know where that's
Bingo.
at. And,
yeah, 63rd House.
And I just drove up, and I see, just like what looked like maybe old warehouses and just different buildings. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, you know what? Someone's gonna make a lot of money because they'll be able to see what this can become. And I've just drove through the streets and you just see the changes happening. I'm not even from there, but just driving through, I'm like, there's someone or a group of people who are gonna really build some wealth by investing in this community. There's a Whole Foods there, so we all know what that means, right?
Bingo.
So I mean, I'm sure it's changed quite a lot since I was out there 2 years ago. So it's great to hear about all the economic development that's happening out there.
Yeah, the thing about real estate is you want to make sure you got your ear to the streets, right? If you pay attention, sometimes all you really got to do is just pay attention, right? If you see them propping up a Whole Foods, you see them propping up a Jewels, they're bringing a Whole Foods there because the population can handle it, right? They're going to be driving population to that area, right? So that means, I probably should start buying up in these areas, right? And the reality of it is that the South Side of Chicago is so interesting because, you got gangs, and then you got some blocks that's just very, very quiet. It's a nice place to live. But Chicago is a block by block city. So sometimes when people hear Inglewood, they immediately go into no, right? But you actually just have to go drive by and see what the block is like. And you may actually find a diamond in the rough.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That's amazing. So would you say good majority of the scaling you'll be able to do is partnership deals?
Yeah, all partnership deals.
Amazing.
All partnership deals except two. I own a 3-flat by myself, and then I own a single family home with a coach house in the back by myself. Everything else is partnership deals.
Got it. And for most of those partnerships, were the financing, was it through FHA or was it through different type of financing?
All FHA.
Got it.
All 3.5%. We closed, did a quick claim deed over into a business, and then getting ready to refinance. Getting ready to refinance 3 this year.
Got it. That's such a smart strategy. Especially, if you're in a position of like a homeowner, who wants to buy multifamily, sometimes the capital is the biggest hurdle, sometimes you might have part of the picture, like you mentioned, you might have credit or one person might have cash, but I think if you marry those two together for both people, it could really expedite things. And you'll see how long the partnership lasts, but at the very least, it can get you in the game. So I think it's great that you went from teaching and then just partnering with your students who probably otherwise would have just knocked themselves out of the game, if they didn't have capital, didn't have credit or something like that. So I think it's very, very smart how you did it. Just teaching, building the credit, and then partnering with these people to help them build wealth. And a byproduct of that is you being able to do so too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, right? Love people, use money. Don't ever get that flipped, right? People who get that flip suffer from for the love of all money is the rule of all evil, right? Love money, they loving money and using people. That ain't the way that this world was designed for us to operate and live from, right? But when we love people and use money, we'll never ever have to worry about money.
Definitely. So can you talk to us about your favorite deal that you've done?
My favorite deal was probably my first deal, man. Going through it, it wasn't the best, but looking back, it's kind of like, yo, you let him finesse you like that. Like you had the balls to, like, it took you 6 months to grow some balls and fire him. Right? Like just looking back on that whole experience, is very, very interesting, man. And to be able to see something that I almost quit on, actually materialize into one of my most beautiful projects in one of the best areas in Woodline, right? I bought that property for 157. I put 200 grand in there, all in 357. And that property is worth 460, 480, right? I could sell, walk away if I wanted to, right? That's, for me, that's a win, and they just opened up a Jewels nearby, right? I got Barack Obama Library getting ready to open, property value gonna shoot up. So for me, man, it would have to be my first deal because I learned so much. I got all ends of the real estate space. I got it from the purchasing, from having to evict tenants, right? And getting a runaround from squatters, from hiring attorneys to getting them served, everything to hiring a general contractor, firing a general contractor, to becoming a general contractor, right? And then actually being able to see something that I can enjoy and that somebody else can enjoy and call home. I don't think it get no better than that.
Definitely, definitely. And I think, that's just a big testament to just not giving up. Like in real estate, everybody has rough experiences. I'm going through one right now, like I have a unit that's been vacant for 2 months because the rehab has just taken longer than expected. We're just uncovering more stuff. I'm at the end of that now and probably place somebody in the next week, but it's like, we have all had moments like that. We've all had moments where we want to give up. I'm pretty sure there were many times during that first deal where you're like, I just want to quit. And I felt like that too. I'll be honest. I'll be vulnerable. I felt like that too. But it's so important to keep going because there's so many lessons you'll learn. As you mentioned, you learned about the rehab. You learned about the financing. You learned about all these things that have helped you to scale the business, helped you to teach other people. So I just think it's important for those listening during those hard times, just keep going. Even when you hate it, even when it doesn't make sense, you have to keep going because that experience will be what takes you to the next level.
Yeah. And even on my collaborations, I got all my money back. Right. So I put my down payment money down. And since I'm controlling everything, I'm finding a deal, I'm analyzing the deal, I'm negotiating the deal. Right? I'm putting my partner in position to win. Right? They're bringing the credit to the table, which solidifies their equitable position in the project, and I'm doing everything else. And it's a fair trade, right? Based on how we have things set up. So I'm putting my down payment money down, and I'm getting 100% of my down payment money back, whether the deal makes sense or not. Right? But I don't buy deals that don't make sense. Mm-hmm. But either way, I'm getting all of my money back. Right. And I tell people all the time that when you buy in real estate, you're not buying the best house on the block. You're not buying the worst house on the block. You're not buying what look good, what smell good. You're not buying any of that. You're buying the numbers. Mm-hmm. Right. If the numbers don't make sense, then it's not a good deal.
Yep.
If the numbers don't make sense, it's not a good deal. And I always preach that and I repeat it all the time because as a new investor, we want that first piece of real estate to be able to say, I'm in the game, right? I'm a real estate investor. You want to be able to take that photo on Instagram and be like, man, I bought my first property, 2-flat, duplex, triplex, mm-hmm. whatever the case may be. But the reality of it is that we can't get emotionally attached to assets that don't make sense. Because some assets, they are assets in theory, but they're liabilities on paper.
Absolutely. And quick question about the partnerships. Is your payback period the same for each one, or do you kind of do it on a deal by deal basis?
Same.
Got it.
I need 100% of my down payment money back before we break anything evenly.
Got it. And of course, I'm sure that could vary based on cash flow and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Got it, man. So, we did speak a bit earlier and then off camera about other things you have going on. Talk to us about some of your other business ventures. I thought you named off like 10, but
yeah, I actually got one. So a lot of folks, I also built a 6-figure concealed carry business as well. So at the time I started the concealed carry business, and I'm actually getting ready to release another course on that because a lot of folks don't even know about it. And it's crazy, but I started a concealed carry business in 2019, and very, very simple, just 72-hour training. Did what I had to do, qualified, paid what I had to pay. And, it's finding folks who it's an easy sell, right? It's almost like Andre with the mobile notary, right? Where everybody especially in the state of Illinois, Chicago, crazy. Like everybody want to be able to conceal and carry, right? They want to be able to walk around with their firearms legally, right? So I built out a 6-figure concealed carry business. And now, right, since we already have the clientele, we already have the demand for people that want to come, they want to come to us first. to get their license, I don't even teach anymore. So I spent the first 2 years from 2018 to 2020 teaching, building the brand, building up the clientele, building the systems that we needed, right, in order to be able to grow, scale, and consistently bring in new clients, that now the business is 100% passive for me, right? I don't do anything at all. So I ended up hiring my brother, and now he's a licensed concealed carry instructor, and we do a 70-30 split, where he keeps 70% of the profit and I get 30%. I'm okay with him getting 70% of the profit because I don't do any more classes, right? It's a 16-hour course, state minimum, 16-hour course, where it typically is 2 days. I don't have 2 days to be able to do that anymore. So now I have the luxury to be able to sit back and make money in my sleep. And my brother has the luxury of not having to worry about clients because he's now been introduced to a business that already has the client pool, right? So I have the concealed carry business, the rental car business, which is complete autopilot, right? I don't have to really do much at all for that either.
Do you partner with Brian on that?
No, so I don't partner on
Okay.
Brian with the rental car space. Bro do his own thing in the rental car space.
Okay.
I do my own thing.
Nice.
He did give me the course though.
Gotcha.
Shout out to Brian for the course. I had known about the rental car space for a very, very long time. We both found out about the course from another person actually, who had about 25 cars.
Wow.
And Brian was like, all right, let's go. And he went all in, and it was like he been telling me to do it, like, yo, bro, need to do it. And I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. Like I'm gonna focus on this real estate.
Yeah.
And then yo, bro, you gotta do it. So I ended up doing it. And then it's been a nice little piece of additional income for me.
Nice. Amazing. And then can you talk more about your course and just any other like products and services you have?
Yeah, so the course that I'm primarily pushing right now is the Renovation Game, which essentially teaches you the entire construction from beginning to end, right? How to analyze deals, construction, how does tile need to be, how does your drywall need to be, how does your electricity supposed to be, how does your plumbing need to be. Like, if you're going to be buying properties and residential properties, especially if they're distressed, you need to know this, right? You need to know how to screen general contractors, or you may be somebody that's like, yo, I need a change of career, right? So I'm gonna teach you how to become a general contractor. And for some folks as well, it's like, yo, Gene, I want to get into real estate, but I don't got the capital. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna teach you how to get the access to the capital that you need to get started, right? So every little single excuse that somebody came up with, I'm like, all right, cool. I need to make sure I put this in the course, right? And I want to make sure that it's designed for anybody that don't have no prior real estate experience to be able to win, right? And then I'm also going to teach you how to get paid on your own deals, right? So now you cut out the middleman. You don't got to hire a general contractor. You can become the general contractor, or even if you don't want to be the general contractor, at least put yourself in position so you can control the money, right? When you control the money, you control the project. Right. Absolutely. So that's what I'm pushing, man. It's the Renovation Game. You can get it at therenogame.com. That's THERENO game.com.
Definitely have that in the show notes. So man, what does the future look like for you? You know, you've done quite a bit. You've accomplished quite a bit in the last 3 years. And you know, the craziest thing about it is it's only the beginning. So talk to us some more about some of your future plans.
Yeah, so my nearest goal is, you ever seen the show Undercover Billionaire?
Oh man, it's been a
you
long
heard of
time.
it?
Yeah,
Grant Cardone?
Yeah.
All right, so Grant Cardone got a show called Undercover Billionaire. And I've been just secretly talking amongst like a lot of folks in my personal network that I'm an undercover millionaire. And a lot of folks classify, you know, being a millionaire as, you know, net worth, right? Having $1 million net worth, right? I'm at the point now where I want $1 million liquid. And that's my goal right now, is $1 million liquid. When I hit $1 million liquid, I'll go out and say I'm a millionaire. As far as net worth, I've done that, right? So now it's like, all right, cool. Short-term goal, 1 million, right? So that's what I'm focused on right now, is to get into that number. And then also when I get to that number, what systems and stuff can I put in play to help somebody else get to that number? Because it's not about me. It's about me leaving something behind that somebody else could benefit from. Because if I don't, I'm just going to be another Eugene Marshall that walked the face of the earth. Then he died. And then 2-3 weeks later, nobody knows who I am because I didn't leave anything behind. And that's why I tell folks all the time, you're either living with intent or you're living with impact. And I want to live with impact because I understand that this life is not about me. It's about putting myself in position to help somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, this has been a dope interview. I just keep thinking about that first deal, you know,
I know, man.
fell on your face many times, had a lot of adversity, a lot of moments where you quite frankly could have just threw in the towel. But, you know, based on how things have played out, I think it's probably unlikely that things overall would have turned out how they did now without that first deal. You know, I think based on everything you shared, that was the catalyst. That was the turning point for you that kind of set the table for everything else that you were able to accomplish and help people with over the years. So man, I'm excited to put this out. You know, I think this is going to be a great inspirational episode for all the listeners.
Absolutely. Again, I definitely appreciate you for having me on board. And you know, for those that's listening, just get started, right? Make sure you're tapping in with the right people. You're learning, you're tuning into the episodes that my brother is pushing out because he's really giving you guys the blueprint, right? And he's bringing on people that have real life experience, and experience is the best teacher. So if you come in prepared, when you're listening, you got your pen and paper with you and you're taking notes, you're going to win and succeed in this business.
Absolutely, man. Let the people know where they can follow you, where you can tap into everything you have going on.
Yeah, y'all can tap in with me on Instagram and Twitter at __ Mr. Marshall. I reply to all DMs. Shoot me a DM if you need help with something. I'll get back to you as early as I can. If I don't, which I will, but most times it'll be a VA that I'll probably reach out to you first. And then if they don't, I'll respond in a convenient time. So you can find me at those handles _ Mr. Marshall.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you jumping on the show today.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. If you haven't already, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, leave us a review, share this with a friend. If you're interested in joining the Bread Real Estate Investing community, you can start for $1 in your first week. Go to blackrealestatedialogue.com or check the link in the show notes. Thank you all so much. I look forward to hearing from you all soon. Hi, everyone. Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.